giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live. We are streaming live on YouTube. And of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Boom! We coming in hot, man. We coming in hot. Cowboys, Ravens, final thoughts today. We got our insider Patrick Nosey Walker joining us literally here in a few seconds. Plus, we're going to hear from both sides of the ball. I want to hear from a specific linebacker on his role this week. And something just told me to seek out the running back situation. So we'll talk about all that. Plus, it's Dave's Hot Chicken Hot Take Friday, baby. Y'all had some hot takes, man. Y'all had some hot takes on Twitter that we will get to. And then I selected two. And it'll tie into everything. Just don't worry about that. It'll tie into everything. And, of course, we'll have the injury report also provided by our guy, Pat, and give us some updates on all of that as well. But good morning, Bomb Squad.
Bomb Squad!
How is everyone on this Friday? Hopefully you guys are feeling good, feeling live, getting ready for this weekend's game. Look, I know it's a little dreary right now, but it's still Cowboys football. And I'm always excited about Cowboys football, as should you be. And as should you be to hear from our guy, Patrick Nosey Walker, in this week's version of the Scientific Method. Good morning, good brother.
How goes it, my man?
It's going. We got over the loss last week, and start prepping for this week. And you're like, ooh, this could be a tough one too. So it's never easy in the league, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's the NFL.
Right.
It's hard to win. It's a week-to-week league, and you never know what's going to happen on any given Sunday or Monday or Thursday. But what you always know is that the Cowboys' opponent is going to play it like it's their Super Bowl. So Cowboys got to be ready every single week. Got to be ready every single week, or otherwise, what happens is what just happened.
I feel like I don't know if it was us that talked about it or maybe me in the chat. I feel like we said this last week, right? Like the Saints are going to march in here and they're going to feel like, man, this is our stadium. Because I don't think it's a true home field from a crowd standpoint. It's just a comfortability thing for the Cowboys, in my opinion. Whereas when other opponents come into this stadium, it's like, oh, okay, this is prime time. Even if it's 12 o'clock or 3 o'clock, it's prime time to them, and they just play a level above. I don't know what it is.
Well, it's a couple things, and you touch on both of them. Number one, and I said this to a couple of folks in the building, I said this team doesn't play well at noon. For whatever reason, the team does not play well in noon games. Now, obviously, you could point at one of the reasons being that they rarely play in noon games, which is definitely true. But the fact is the fact. They have a slow start typically, and just slow production throughout the game if it's a noon game. But they got to be better than that because the other opponent doesn't care what time of day it is. They're coming in to handle some business. And the other thing, like you said, is when it comes to the Cowboys and home field advantage, obviously, as of the past couple of seasons, the last two games notwithstanding, they've been outstanding at AT&T Stadium. But when you're talking about Saints fans, you have to go back to, how so many of them were displaced by Katrina and came up to North Texas and it really just made a new home in North Texas, never really chose to go back to New Orleans. So when you think about it in that capacity, if you're wondering, hell, man, why are so many Saints fans at AT&T Stadium? It's because a good bit of them still live in Dallas. So like you said, it's not a true home game for the Cowboys, but nonetheless, whether it be a true home game or a semi-road game, whatever, you got to put better on film than what you did against them on Sunday, because that was just an atrocity that cannot happen again.
Pat, it's been a very eventful week from a injury standpoint in Dallas. A lengthy injury report to say the least. But before you do attack the injury report for both sides, because there are some major ones over there in Baltimore too. The Jordan Phillips situation, that's the injury that's not on the injury report. I've only heard from Clarence Hill on Twitter where he kind of went to Jordan Phillips and Phillips spilled the beans and said, look, I'm fine. I don't know what's going on. What is going on here? I mean, we know. I think it's because of his play, but you don't normally see a player openly say that. We know teams do this, right? Hey, we're going to put you on IR. Right. But he openly came out and said, I'm fine. Could there be ramifications that happen to the Cowboys for this?
I mean, we'll see, because when you have a player coming out saying that, obviously the ears of the league are always out for things like that. You always have a potential investigation that could be launched, if, as far as injury report violations are concerned. But, I mean, I spoke with several people before and after, Clarence reported that Jordan said that, and everybody's telling me the same thing, is that his wrist. Now, it could be one of two things. I don't know what the truth is, because you have one side that's saying he has a wrist issue and you have the player saying he doesn't. But then at the same time, having been an athlete myself, I know that there are things hurting on me that I was still like, I'm fine, man. I'm fine. I can play. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if it's that situation where it's just like, no, there's something wrong here, but the player thinks that he can play through it, and he's frustrated that they won't allow him to play through it. So it could be that dynamic as well. So you kind of got to keep that in mind. But everything I'm being told is that, he has a wrist issue. Him saying my wrist is quote unquote fine. Is that a medical diagnosis from him, or is that an athlete, an NFL athlete saying, man, I can play and I'm pissed off that they're not letting me play? So, we'll see how that goes. But everyone's telling me that I've spoken with is that he really does actually have a wrist issue. Now, it doesn't help his case as far as the optics are concerned. Right. It doesn't help his case that he had such a poor game in week 2, but at the same time, he wasn't the only one who did, and I don't see everybody else who had a poor game on IR, so, go figure.
What's going on with those who were injured or put on the injury report this past Thursday? This is one of the lengthier ones I've seen over the last few years for Dallas.
Yeah, it's lengthy, but when you get down to the nuts and bolts of it, it's not entirely concerning. I'll lead with the more concerning one, which is Mazi Smith. Mazi Smith left practice on Wednesday during the open portion, which was within the first 15 minutes, with head trainer Jim Maurer, and he did not return. He was DNP that day. He was DNP again yesterday with what's being described as back tightness. We spoke with Mike McCarthy both on the podium and off the podium. Off the podium, he gave a little bit more insight. He intimated that it's precautionary that he's being held out of practice. He was asked if, Mazi's going to play on Sunday. What does the status look like? And the reply that he gave was really that it's precautionary. Now, will that hold up, come Sunday? We'll see. But obviously it's going to be a concern going into Sunday, given Jordan Phillips is on IR. Yes, you want to, poach Carlos Watkins to bring him back to the fold from the Washington Commanders. But without Mazi, at worst case, you're losing, or best case, you're losing depth if you don't have Mazi on the field. And if he's on the field and he's dealing with back tightness, well, now you have your depth, but what does the production look like? What does the ability look like? So, you have a defensive tackle question mark going in. So that's the concerning one.
Real quick, before you move forward, is there any whispers that they'll call up, I believe, is it Haskins on the practice squad or the rookie Denzel Jackson?
Denzel Jackson.
Yeah.
It's possible. It is possible. I don't know that they're in those conversations just yet. I think that today and tomorrow morning most certainly will spark those conversations. So if Mazi Smith doesn't practice today at all, and or if he is not making progress with that back tightness, then I could absolutely see one of those guys, I'm not going to say a couple, but one of those guys probably being elevated from the practice squad on Saturday, because those happen around Saturday at noon time. So keep an eye on that. That's a great question. Positive side of the injury equation, Fergalicious. Jake Ferguson has returned to practice effective on Wednesday, albeit in a limited capacity, but he's moving well. He does have the knee brace on, but the knee brace is just precautionary for stability purposes. Mild MCL sprain. He describes that it's barely registered as a grade 1. He has no pain. He was close to playing against the Saints. All things point to him being a go against the Ravens as long as there are no setbacks. Trevon Diggs and CeeDee Lamb set out on Wednesday with a foot and an ankle injury, respectively. I reported at the time there was no concern there. We spoke to McCarthy. We spoke to CeeDee Lamb yesterday. I observed Trevon Diggs very closely. They are good to go for Sunday against the Ravens. Obviously, that's going to be huge. John Stevens Jr., we talk about depth. Okay, well, you're running a little bit slim on defensive tackle. Well, your tight end room is getting a bit thicker, okay, because Jake Ferguson is likely coming back, and John Stevens Jr. is trending toward a debut after missing the first 2 games with the hamstring injury. A lot of other players came back from rest. Jaylen Brooks, that's one to keep an eye on. He popped up on the injury report yesterday. He was limited with an ankle injury. We'll see how he can practice today and tomorrow morning. Makes me wonder if he can't go, or if he will be less than 100%. Maybe it's the Ryan Flanoy legacy game. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. And then for the most part, Tyrus Wheat, he was back from a personal issue, not injury related. So for the most part, keep an eye on Mozzie Smith, that defensive tackle situation, and Jaylen Brooks. Maybe it's a Ryan Flanoy afternoon on Sunday. But for the most part, it's positive news.
Let me jump to Sunday real quick because you brought up the tight ends. The room could get thicker again here. Pause if necessary. Jake Ferguson coming back with possibly Stevenson. This couldn't be a better week, in my opinion, because the Ravens have struggled with these tight ends. So
yes, they do.
Okay, that's something that you've picked up here, and something, in my opinion, I think we should be watching for. But what are some other things for you in this Cowboys-Ravens game that you're watching and looking out for?
Well, that's going to be one of the keys, is how effectively can you use the tight ends, especially Jake Ferguson, because few people know Roquan Smith like I know Roquan Smith, go Dogs, with the exception of this weekend. I hate that this had to be you, bro. What I would suggest doing is using your tight ends, especially Jake, force Roquan Smith to carry Jake Ferguson up the seams and inside and out, quick out routes and things like that. You need to clear Roquan out of the middle of the field. If you do that, then that is a gaping freaking hole. If you allow him to operate carte blanche in the middle of that field, you are going to have a bad and a very long day. He is that good. So delete him by using the productivity and the threat of Jake Ferguson, John Stevens Jr., and maybe even Luke Schoonmaker. He did show some things last week. He had a career game last week. When we say career game, not saying it was 200 yards, but it was literally a career game for him. 6 catches on 6 targets. He showed some things. Right. That's one thing. Another thing is, we talk about this, Will, time and time again. Adapt your game plan to the opponent. This is not the week whatsoever to try to run the ball, okay? I know that Cowboys fans want to see the run get established. I hear you. I'm with you. Last week was the week to do it. The week before was the week to do it. This ain't the week to do it, okay, for 2 reasons. One, the Ravens' defense, their run defense, is allowing less than 50 yards per game. 50 yards per game is insanity, okay? Obviously ranked number 1 in the league in that aspect. However, what does their pass defense look like? 32nd in the league in pass defense. The blueprint is right there in front of you. You want to get your passing offense on track, this is the week to do it. I say go out there and hand it off only as necessary, just to say, hey, we did it. Right.
Simplifying and taking out.
By all means, let Dak Prescott throw that thing 179 times. I don't care. Even if it results in a pick or 2, you could probably get 4 touchdowns in the air to maybe 1 interception. You got to keep attacking the secondary, because while they are physical, they do not cover well. So that's got to be the game plan, using Jake Ferguson to clear out Roquan Smith, attack the middle of the field, and then get downfield with CeeDee Lamb, get Brandon Cooks involved again, and look for a guy like Kevontae Turpin. Put some speed on that and stretch. Force those more physical but slower corners to cover downfield will be my plan of attack. Defensively, I said this on Talking Cowboys, and I'll reiterate it here when I go in about 5 minutes. Spy with DeMarvion Overshown and get Micah Parsons applying pressure in the interior, not on the edge, not in this game. What my goal would be is to, number 1, Derrick Henry is not Alvin Kamara, in that he's not going to burn you on the edges and in space and with the quick bubbles and screens and things like that. It's A gap, B gap. Okay, if you let Derrick Henry pummel you on the interior, you're going to have a bad day with Lamar Jackson after that. So send Micah Parsons up the middle. I'm talking zero tech. I'm talking one eye, two eye variations of that, that will immediately implode the front of the pocket. That forces two things to happen. Derrick Henry now has to redirect. If you can redirect him, his momentum gets broken up. It makes it easier for a guy like DeMarcus Lawrence, Marshawn Nealon, and maybe a linebacker to come in on the edge and take him down before he gets momentum established. Number two, it forces Lamar Jackson out to the edges. And now you have DeMarvion Overshown spying him, hopefully, and he has the speed and the burst to be able to attack those edges left and right and contain Lamar Jackson. You do that, now you're forcing Lamar Jackson to throw the ball, and that's what you want. That's what you want. And then once he starts throwing the ball, you keep a lid on Zay as opposed to two speedsters. They only have one, okay? And they run a lot of 12 personnel with two tight ends because Likely and Andrews, they can be a problem. So what I would do is I would make this a Wanye and a Marquise Bell type day to combat that 12 personnel, right? And that would be my plan of attack for both sides of the ball. I feel like if they do that and they execute, can I say that one more time? Execute, then you can definitely leave this game with a win. Will it be a blowout? No, this is going to be a battle, I believe. But you can definitely take this as maybe a 10-point win if you execute.
Hey, Pat, appreciate that science you just dropped here. Cowboys Nation, make sure you check them out later today after the show, after our show, of course. Go check them out on .com with Talking Cowboys. Enjoy your weekend, bro.
Yes, sir. Talk to you soon.
That's Patrick No C Walker, this week's version of the scientific method. We came in a little hot, but we're going to have a very great segue. He talked about both sides of the ball there, both topics of discussion today, in my opinion. Also, it's Fan Friday, so clearly you guys can call in whenever you want here, 351-999-3787 after we get through the meat potatoes of the show. So what we're going to do, we didn't get a chance to get through our morning roundup. We're going to do that right now.
It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time! It is time for...
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Let me talk to you.
Let me talk to you, Cowboys Nation, about what Pat just talked to you about. DeMarvion Overshown, he spoke with the media, and after his 18-snap performance last week, everybody was looking around like, hey, what's going on here? He played about 40 snaps in week one. He was dominant. Week two, it gets cut in half. They asked Zimmer on Tuesday about, hey, why did DeMarvion Overshown not see the field that much? This is what Zim said about it.
You're talking about Demo. He's coming off an ACL, missed all of spring, didn't really get out there until we got to OTA. So he's working his way back in, and that will continue to go forward as we go. But he's going to get plenty of reps.
Not buying that one. But maybe it's gamesmanship. Maybe he was just a bit frustrated with the outcome, and he kind of just gave us kind of a roundabout answer because it really didn't make sense to me. Week one, he was there for all of training camp. He was there in preseason. He played 40 snaps in week one. In week two, you cut it in half because you said he needs to ramp up. Yeah, not buying that. And this week in week three, they are playing a quarterback that similar to Deshaun Watson, not in talent, but in mobility. The fact that those guys can hurt you with their legs. So they straight up asked DeMarvion Overshown, they said, hey, will it look like it looked in week one in regards to your role? This is what Demo said.
I'm expecting something like that. They both quarterbacks that can make a lot of plays with their legs. Lamar being dangerous, and if he gets going with that, that's just a whole game, and that you don't want that. So I'm pretty sure I'll be doing some of the same stuff I was doing with Deshaun Watson.
Okay. I'm here for it. Pat just talked about it. We like we're French. We talked about it a little bit over the last few days. If I'm the Dallas Cowboys, that's the way I'm approaching it. I know, and I think this was gamesmanship by Mike Zimmer when it was brought up on Tuesday. Hey, will you use DeMarvion Overshown? Well, we might use Micah Parsons. I think he's just saying that. If you watch these games the first 2 weeks, against the Chiefs and against the Raiders, what you'll notice is success by their top rusher, Chris Jones, Max Crosby. Now, with Max Crosby, it happened on the very last possession of the game. They actually played him pretty well in the pass game for the most part, but until that I say pretty well, it was some pressures until that last possession, and that's what mattered most. But Crosby hit you with 2 sacks. Chris Jones was whooping on that rookie in that right side. So for me, I'm kind of looking at Micah, at least in these obvious pass rushing downs for sure, get after it. I don't care if it's over the left guard, right tackle, that right side for sure, right? Let him get after Jackson so that DeMar Van Overshown could be that guy that fills these lanes when Jackson has to flush out. Because at this moment, the only other person that I feel quasi okay about rushing the passer is D-Law. And we know D-Law doesn't really, game in, game out, he's not that juice rusher, right? It's going to take more nuance to his game and power and things like that. But Micah's kind of that juice guy. Micah's that guy that can really get back there in a hurry. So let him do that. Let him flush out Lamar Jackson and let DeMar Van Overshown be the guy. Overshown shouldn't see 18 snaps this week. Shouldn't happen. I mean, no week, in my opinion, he should see 18 snaps. But if it's about base, which in my opinion is still technically nickel nowadays, but if it's about base because they're going to play a lot of condensed formations, a lot of 12 personnel with those tight ends, then you throw DeMar Van Overshown in base, period. I watched Leah, and I love Leofau's game, right? But I think Leofau is still learning to see it, right? One thing he does, and I respect this about Maris, and I think it was Cam Jordan who said this: if you're going to be wrong going 110%. Leofau, he'll be wrong, but he's going to make you pay when he gets to the lineman. It's just, unfortunately, if he attacks the wrong shoulder, the wrong angle, now we got another guy that you're hanging out to dry. I don't really see that with D. I think Demo sees it, reads it well, and gets there. But obviously, if your DTs are not keeping them clean, well, now you got the linebackers dealing with the guards and the centers and tackles, square, which is never easy. Definitely in today's game where you're not dealing with 6'4", 260-pound backers anymore, right? So I want to see more Demo and Kendricks together, and then maybe you use Leofau in spots, rushing the passer, getting after it, overhanging in a traditional 4-3 over or something. But let Demo and let Kendricks get going, in my opinion. That's kind of how I would like to see this week. I love, and I said this yesterday, I love the thought of more, it's more Wanye, but Wanye or Bell doesn't matter to me. I told you guys, the safety room I thought should be competition any damn way. But more Wanye this week to deal with the cover ability that you'll need for these tight ends, specifically Likely, because Likely is the more athletic guy that can get upfield. Andrews is more the possession guy that they'll use, 15 and in, but he can burn you too. But I would love if they threw that wrinkle in here. I don't think they're going to go a lot 3 safeties. It's really not in Zimmer's wheelhouse. Damn it, then you throw one of those safeties out there specifically for me, Wanye, because I think he's the best cover guy you got. And you let Wanye kind of get in a groove here from a coverage standpoint. Plus, I just think he can fill. I think him and Dono can fill a little bit quicker, faster, and arrive with more oomph when you're dealing with the run game, because they're going to be dealing with the run game, right? Like they're going to be dealing with that this week, and they have to get better at it. I mean, if not, then they don't need to throw the ball to the tight ends. We saw the Saints. Did the Saints tight end get a catch? The wide open touchdown got called back. Wide open touchdown, yeah. But that was it. The Saints didn't need to throw to their tight ends. So hopefully the Cowboys can force them to do so. Shank said we got scheme problems. AJ said ESPN's talking about trading everybody. Well, that's why you don't watch ESPN, man. Professor O. Oh, this is what y'all talking about. Okay. So Professor O said ESPN is saying the Cowboys are one of 4 teams eyeing wide receiver in the trade market. Go figure. Go figure. Did they not see there was issues beforehand? Like, or is it just because of the 2 games? Because last year it looked just like this, and they didn't make a wide receiver trade. It just took Dak and CD to kind of get going, and then next thing you know, you saw the receiving room wake up. Maybe they thought it was good going in. And it only took 2 games for them to feel not great about it. I see a lot of Flournoy. Might be Flournoy's time. Flournoy obviously has been inactive the first 2 games. Jaylen Brooks out with an injury. Well, not out, limited. Let me say that. Limited with an injury. We'll see what happens today and tomorrow. I'd imagine, though, if he's just limited, he'll play. But again, we opened up the season after week 1 and said, how long is the rope for the Jaylens, right? My thought process, it was going to be probably around bye week. I think that's shortened a little bit here, definitely after last week. I don't know that they can go out there and play like this before they say, all right, Flournoy, let's see what you got. I don't know. I don't know how they can get away with another game, especially against the secondary that we talked about has not been good. They got players. But it's not been good. So this is a very important week for me for the Jaylens, because all that momentum you had coming into the season is gone. It's real games now. And what happened in July and August doesn't matter. Deshaun said Brooks is so bad. It's so crazy, man, because Brooks was that next guy. Brooks was Flournoy, right? Brooks was Flournoy for Cowboys Nation. I saw it all off season. Give him some tick. He's better than Jalen Tolbert. Throw him in there. Let him. And now we're like, no, get him out of here. And look, I'm trying to be fair to these dudes. I understand this is the league and development, et cetera, et cetera. But again, you don't have a ton of time to figure this out. You don't want to get to week 7 and 8, and they are playing like this. That's why I was like, look, that thing has to be shortened. Now, Tolbert stepped up better in the second half or what have you, but Brooks just had his worst game. He's a young kid. Hopefully he bounces back this week. But I'm telling you right now, if y'all ready to get him up out of here after last week and he does that again, the pitchforks will be at the Star calling for Jaylen Brooks to be benched. Ryan Flournoy, the athletic 6th-round pick. Again, I think we all really wanted to see him. I just personally believe it wasn't going to happen unless this happened or an injury happened. Both are kind of happening right now, so maybe we do see Ryan. You know what I want to see Ryan Flournoy? If they're not going to put him out there at receiver, throw him back there at kick returner or something. I don't know if he's really doing it. I don't think they really have him back there, but we're not really returning any kicks. Punt, cool. Keep old boy there. Keep Turpin there. Kicks, why not throw him back there? Even Deuce Vaughn back there for what? That's not Deuce Vaughn's game. Los calling in early. Good morning, Los.
Yo, good morning, Sky, man. Hope you're having a great week. Thanks for all the Cowboy content you put out, man.
No problem, brother.
Tough loss last week, man, but hey, it is what it is. We're not surprised by it. Just my 2 quick points, and I'll leave you be. This Ravens game, I do expect a challenge, especially from a different, challenge we have faced. And there's a reason why Lamar Jackson is, I think, like 12-1 against NFC teams. It's because there's
20.
no way to exactly prepare.
20.
Yeah. Yeah,
20-1. That's crazy. That's
crazy.
crazy. It was even crazier as the one loss was to the lowly Giants. Now, they were actually kind of decent that year. But that's his one loss to the Daniel Jones Giants.
Yeah, and that is and it's not like astonishing, but like to play a quarterback like that, there's not really a way to prepare for it. And I'm gonna tell you straight up, Scott, if this Cowboys team comes out there and just pretends like, hey, we're gonna play our brand of football, let's run up the middle, do our things, and we'll see. We'll be competitive. If they come thinking like that, just the same old boring scheme, they're gonna have a huge wake up call. Because in today's NFL, Sky, and we harp on it every year, coaching and scheme matters, and we saw it by last week. You got your ass whooped by the Kyle Shanahan tree coaches. Kyle Shanahan Tree Stadium, that's what we're going to call it now until the meme's over, because you have proven that any coach that has lined up against y'all and has a better scheme than you cannot do shit about it. And what are you going to do about it? That is up to them. So we'll see if they come prepared, especially this defense, to see if they're prepared to take the punches from the Ravens offense. But I do expect a huge challenge. And, I mean, hell, if they're not going to do anything to adjust, I mean, it is what it is, Sky. My last point is this. I did tell you that Mike McCarthy, this was his last year. And if he doesn't bring this fire to this team, like, I don't know what else is he here for. And that's just my opinion, Sky, because if you're a coach, I need you to do your job and, like, just bring that energy. Fucking be a coach, man. Like, I just don't need you to be a puppet. And that's all, Sky. Maybe it might be my frustration talking, but that's just how I feel. Like, do your job and do it well. That's it, Sky.
All right, man, appreciate you. Hey, I tell you what about Mike, you know, the preparedness, I think, is a legitimate concern. A lot of spots, they just don't come out and seem like they're prepared, right? Early in the season when Mike calling plays, you know, it's the inverse. It's very interesting. With Kellen didn't hold much back. Kellen came out, and for at least 3 to 4 years, we're flying. Offensively, you're flying. And the problem with Kellen was, well, teams figured you out, and you really had no counter to it. And then the offense got weird, and then it got worse in the playoffs, where at least last year and to the start of this season, McCarthy comes out and he's purposeful. We're just getting this thing going. We're increments and quarters and whatever of seasons, and it looks slow, and you get off to awful starts offensively. Ironically, that kind of follows you in the playoffs, but neither here nor there. And then we saw last year it got going. So it's kind of hard to trust either of those schemes in general. So for me, it's more so, will he have these guys prepared? I don't look at Mike's not going to be a rah-rah guy. Mike's not what's my man over there in Detroit? Dan Campbell. I don't even look at him as a Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin don't need to really get loud and crazy, but when Mike delivers, I mean, I'm not in that locker room, but I'd imagine when Mike speaks, Tomlin, you feel it. Mike McCarthy's not that. Is he a he might be a puppet in the sense of personnel and things like that, but Mike calling the plays, Mike running the offense. He's got a huge responsibility. So he's doing something on game day. He just got to do a little bit better, right? Just got to do a little bit better, at least this week. So Pat talked about the run game. We've talked about the run game. I've said I agree with Pat. I don't know if this is the week you want to try to find it, but I'm also not naive to the fact that you can't completely ignore it, because you got to at least keep those guys on their heels a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, you can't go out here and run the ball 40 times on this team. No. But you also can't throw the ball 50 times either. There has to be some type of compromise. So I wanted to listen to Rico Dowdle. I just wanted to hear what was going on with the run game. And they asked Rico Dowdle, they asked him, what are you guys doing to get the run game to find its footing? This is what Rico had to say.
Simplifying and taking out, really just going back to our bread and butters, what's worked for us in the past, and what we've been really good at. So just sticking to that, getting more of the same runs called consistent, and just going at the defense.
Mike talked about the timing with the blocker. Can you expound more about get the timing and with the running game with the blocker?
Yeah, that was as far as us pressing our tracks, keeping it pressing, getting the linebackers to flow. Maybe if it's like another step or two, just something like that, to help the blocks be set better for the linemen up front. I think we've been pressing it, cutting it back a little too early on some runs, but that's what it's all about.
Has been a great start for this run game, but you hear, and the reason why I want to listen to Rico, I noticed Rico will spill the beans a little bit. He doesn't really hold back on what's actually happening in that meeting room, and you see it right there, no hesitation, right? He flat out's coming out and he's giving you specifics on what they need to work on in the run game. Doesn't really sound like anything schematic changes are coming along. It just looks like they're saying, hey, what do we do best? And let's spam it. Let's just spam what we do best. in the ground game. It's hard to really identify what that is at this point in the season. I know what it might have been in years past, the pin pull type situations, even when they got out and did some wide zone stuff. There's nothing that's really been that successful this year, as you can see these two guys. And plus on the film, not just the statistics here, both averaging well less than 4 yards per carry. And the one interesting stat I saw here, and we always hear this, well, they're going to stack the box when you get Zeke back. Teams aren't doing it. Teams don't care to do it. They're doing it at the lowest rate in his career. Right now, they're stacking the box, ironically, way more. With Rico Dowdle, 33%. That's fifth most in the NFL. For Zeke, it's 26 in the NFL, or 28th, one of the two. So they're really not respecting the run game in general. When Rico's in there, they will stack it a little bit more. And we're not doing anything to take advantage of light boxes or stack boxes, because the way we run, it's mostly out of shotgun. You're not doing any pre-snap motion. There's no movement to get the linebackers going one way. You're not giving your linemen a chance. And then when the linemen are playing hat-on-hat ball, it's just not been great. It's not been great. Rico also went on to talk about how, yeah, we're leaving some meat on the bone. There's some plays where, I talked about that potential cutback. I bet you that's a play you're talking about. One of those situations where he's like, man, I just got to trust me. But that's, again, I don't think he's, I don't know if he's that type of back, man. I don't think he's that type of back. Now, there was a back last night playing with the New York Jets. I won't be messy. Just going to stick here and talk about the Cowboys. But it's not like things are going to get easier, right? This week. So how you approach this thing, man? Because I don't think we're going to come out of this game and we're going to be like, damn, this run game went crazy. I just don't. And that's not me trying to be Debbie Downer. I'm just go watch the Ravens play, man. Just go watch the Ravens play. You tell me how confident you are the Cowboys running against them boys. I would be pleasantly surprised if that happens. I'll be in here jumping for joy. But that leads me into my hot take this week. Our Dave's hot chicken hot take of the week. Boy, y'all got spicy on Twitter. Yes, y'all did. Y'all got spicy. Dave's hot chicken. If you love America's team, you'll love America's chicken with their juicy hot chicken in all levels of heat, from mild to reaper, and their delicious sides, including the crinkle cut fries and mac and cheese. It's your go-to spot for hot chicken. And if you're in the McKinney, Plano, and Waco areas, stop in today. Let them know your boy Sky sent you, A to Z sent you, and then let me know how it was. I could tell you firsthand it's good, but you let me know how it is. All right, let's go take a look at some of y'all crazy hot takes this week. I'm glad I decided to do it this way, because I see some wild things on this here Twitter machine for these hot takes. Okay, so Lando says Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and Justice Hill will combine for 267 on the ground, one more rushing yard than Buffalo. I don't even want to come on here Friday. If they run for almost 300 yards against us or on Monday, I don't even want to come in here on Monday. Let's see. Aaron, this isn't really a hot take for... actually it is. He says a coach of ours will be fired Sunday night. That's a hot take. Jerry don't normally fire him this early in the season, but that's what this is called, hot take, right? Let's see here. Chris says Lamar doesn't throw for 300. I wouldn't call that a hot take. He might not need to. This is a hot take. DJ says Cowboys stop the run completely, and they win the game with the 67-yarder from automatic Aubrey. Another one for Aubrey. Butter Aubrey has a better day than Justin Tucker. Y'all know how I feel. I think Aubrey's the best kicker in the league. Tuck, love you, Tuck, but I think Aubrey's the best kicker in the league. But here is where I started to see a lot of Cowboy fans having confidence in their guys in that backfield. Alex says Cowboys have more rushing yards than the Ravens. Don't hold me to it, but that's his hot take. Ralph said Zeke and Rico will have more rushing yards than Henry. No better one than Dez says Derrick Henry gets just 15 rushing yards. Scrolling, I'm like, oh, y'all feel good this week. So these are the two hot takes I'm taking away from here on Twitter. Quindell says Zeke cracks 40 plus to gain 9,000 on his career, and the running back room goes for 100 plus on the best run stopping team in the league. Quintin says run game gets fixed. Zeke leads the backfield on a 100 plus yard day. Boy, y'all get those are hot takes. For every reason that we talked about prior to doing this segment, those are hot takes. This Ravens defense doesn't allow 100-yard rushers. Your run game scheme isn't built like that. Your running back room isn't like that. So if they come out of this game with 100 plus on the ground, the running back's not necessarily talking about if a CD Lamb and Kavontae Turpin jet sweep goes for 60 yards or something. But your running backs or Zeke gets 100, if Zeke gets 100 on the ground against this team, hey, man, I might have – listen, I know – what is it, a blind squirrel finds a nut type situation? A broken clock is right twice a day type thing. But this run defense is no joke. So Quindell and Quintin, you guys win a hot take. Dave's hot chicken hot take of the week for me. No doubt about it. Appreciate y'all for joining in. I was very thankful and surprised in how active you guys were in doing that. I'm gonna do this more often. That was fun. Maybe I'll read some more as we get going here. Uh-oh. We go from hot takes to toxic takes. Cowboys Nation, buckle up. What's good, Tom?
Good morning, Sky.
I put my seatbelt on right now, bro.
Sorry, Dave's Hot Chicken. By the way, Dave's Hot Chicken is awesome. I live in Alexandria,
good,
and there's
man.
one right next to me. Oh, it's good, and I like it very spicy, so they do a good job in that.
Thanks.
I called in because you were talking about some interesting stuff all over the place, and it got me thinking, and my toxicity. I came into this year saying this was a 7-win team, and I always preface by saying, I always ask, well, how did we get better?
Yeah.
And the one thing I'll give the clapper of credit for, stack good days on good days. And it just seemed like we didn't get better where we needed to get better. And we're seeing the same things that we've been seeing in the past. And I got to tell you right now, I'm feeling this is like a 2010 Dallas Cowboys. I remember that in 2009, they won like 11 games. They came in with really high hopes. Oh, we're winning double-digit games. And they started off the year 1-7. Now, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. But I just see Mike McCarthy. It's just like, what did you do all off season? What did you do? That is like, for the life of me, how on earth can you walk back into that stadium after the ass beating you just got and run out the same boring ass shit game plan and thinking that was going to work? Like, is there a hemorrhage in his head? Like, what is wrong with that man? Help me understand. And that's where.
If I may, toxic. I joke about using the term boomer, but I think there's something to it. You look at a guy like Andy Reid. I just think Andy Reid has always been a very imaginative game planner, play caller. He's always tried to trend set, right? Like I called him yesterday by accident the tight end god. I meant the screen god, right? I think he's taken the West Coast principles that him and, yes, Mike McCarthy both grew up in, and he's implemented just so many different things to advance it in his own way. We often talk about the Shanahan tree, but there is also an Andy Reid quasi tree. But that's the difference. And I have to use Andy because he's similar in a sense of age and coming from the old school West Coast, where McCarthy quite literally got fired because he kind of was stuck in his ways. Got here, they didn't give him the keys. They didn't give him offensive mind within that scheme to maybe help him in that manner. They said, no, we're keeping this scheme, and they clashed heads. They bumped heads. Then they gave him the keys, and he said, I'm going to do what I know. And it's just it just looks, and I know Cowboys going to say number one offense, and I'm going to rebuttal with, well, that's because you got Dak Prescott. That's just period. This isn't plug and play, in my opinion, like you see with these other type of systems. It's because you got one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. But when push comes to shove, like you said, can you adapt? Can you tweak these things? Can you improve on what you did the previous year? So far, no. And he's got a lot of pressure on him because I don't think the Cowboys are going to go 1-7. Where I agree with you that we may see something similar. If they get off to a bad start, he may be on the Wade Phillips train. Mid-season, he's up out of here.
Yep. And I'm not saying they will go 1-7. Not what I'm saying. I'm saying that from 2009, 2010, the Cowboys were projected to be a very good team, and then they came out and they just kept, and this is dating myself a little bit, Wade Phillips just looked like he was getting passed by. He didn't have an answer for anything. Nothing was working. And I just looked at that game, and I'm just like, how on earth? The fact that this just looks the exact same thing, and I'll take it one step further on the toxicity. We blamed Kellen Moore for years about his play calling. What if Kellen Moore wasn't the problem? He was just trying to overcome Mike McCarthy's stale conservative ass this entire time. And it was Mike McCarthy's hands on it is what gave us that garbage result that we were getting. What if we accidentally got rid of someone who was better, maybe not the same guy, but is more nuanced in today's NFL?
I don't think that's just one thing. I would disagree with you on that because clearly Mike came out and was like, "Hey, this ain't my offense. All this option shit, I don't." He literally said it. This ain't me. I don't do this.
Yeah.
And we see now Kellen Moore is on his third team in 3 years. So I don't think this is just a strictly Mike McCarthy holding back Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore had his chance in L.A. Didn't happen. And we saw Kellen Moore beat Kellen Moore in Philly. He quite literally did what he did, right? Like, it's never been about Kellen Moore being creative or Kellen Moore calling plays. It was about Kellen Moore situationally. The dude just turned into a pumpkin every time, it required you. Seriously. I mean, that's just the truth. Like, Kellen Moore, he had some cool looking things, but then we wouldn't see it for 8 weeks. Kellen Moore had dial something up and then wouldn't go back to it, or he'd get too cute when it wasn't time to get cute. It just never made sense. No rhyme or reason with Kellen, just a lot of cool plays, but no real understanding of how to sequence those plays. Where McCarthy, he may understand how to sequence an old school West Coast offense, but now we're dealing with a less creative type of guy. So you go from one extreme possibly to another extreme, and there's no middle ground. This is pretty much what you're going to get. And let me say something. I think the offense is going to figure it out like they did last year. Mm-hmm. But let's see what happens when we get around week 14, 15. So how are we playing heading into the playoffs? But they should figure it out because McCarthy likes to do this. Let's just take our time and, slowly but surely build up through the season. Where how much time do you got, brother? Yeah.
And I'm sorry if I ruined some people's Fridays. I know that was a bridge too far. Someone said Kellen was a problem, not the problem. So it's just I'm misquoting. I'm sorry, but I agree with that.
I don't think one person is the problem on the sideline or on the field. I don't think it's one person. If you're going to do one person that's the problem, they don't literally play on the field or coach on the sideline, in my opinion.
Very fair. And the last point I'll make is to Maserati Marv. I hope you're here. Man, it felt so good to hear you talk that way. Finally, you're out of the Jones boys' heads, and you're starting to see. You took the red pill, man. Congratulations. You now see what everyone else is seeing, and you know that Fat Garrett is not the answer. And other than that, y'all have a great Friday.
Appreciate you, Toxic. Maserati went off. If you missed yesterday's show, run that thing back. Maserati, Petey, Green, Marv. Yeah, he's upset, man. And like I said, I get it. I don't blame him. And again, to satisfy the other part of the crowd, right? Like, it's week 2. Like, I'm not, me personally, saying this season is over or anything like that. All I'm saying is this looks exactly like it looked to start the season last year offensively, and they need to get it together. You know, I hope like hell it doesn't turn out that way. You might say, well, why not, Scott? Offense was number one. Because I think it was foo-foo. I think it was fool's gold, bro. I think it was Ford and 88. I would hate for this thing to be on them every single damn week. 4 and 88, 4 and 88, 4 and 88. If that's the case, you're going to have moments where you're probably going to pummel the Giants and pummel another team. But then when the push comes to shove and the team pushes back with either just being physical, more confident than you, more prepared than you, are you going to have that counter? Are you going to have that insurance to lean on? What is our insurance? Cowboys Nation, answer me this question with all seriousness, jokes aside, trolling aside, being mad at each other aside. What is the Cowboys fallback when the passing game is muddied up? Like, I'm not saying that whatever the fallback is has to be on 100 that day, but what is the thing that you are confident or they are confident in, and they can say, okay, this isn't working at the moment, but we got this that will kind of keep us in this thing. That'll also score some points. That'll get. I don't think the Cowboys have scored back-to-back touchdowns the first 2 weeks. Have they? Like, what is that thing? It's not a specific player. It's not a specific part of the game, like a run game. It's not, oh, well, you know what, our quarterback just can take off and run for 120 yards like, say, a Lamar Jackson. Ain't that? What is the contingency, the insurance, when 88-4 are trying to figure it out early in the game? Tight ends, end around, and our fullback. Oh, Lord, if that's your... But you know what? Rex and Luis, I see tight ends end around. You ain't, like, y'all not really lying with that one. Go watch week 1 and week 2. If they can't figure it out, what they doing? Jet sweep, right? It's jet sweep. We ran about 7 jet sweeps the first 2 weeks. And look, I'm not opposed to those at all because they were working in week 1 or whatever. But hey, man, if the jet sweep is what you do, all right. And yes, the tight ends, week 2. It wasn't week 1, but week 2. What were we doing? Play action, dump it off to Luke Schoonmaker, get what you can get. Now with Ferg back, I think you'll see more downfield with the tight end. With Ferg not there, that's not really Luke's game. So they tailored it to Luke's game, and Luke had his best game of the year. Ooh, Butter Aubrey. Fair enough. That's probably what it is. Our fallback plan is Aubrey. Getting 70-yard field goal range, and if it don't work out, Butter Aubrey. So Luis said, now we only scored 2 in 2 games. I believe, and I messed that up the other day. Cowboys have, I think, 3 offensive touchdowns total. The Zeke run and the 2 touchdown passes by Dak, but none of them came on like back-to-back drives. Not yet. Let me see. Real question, not trying to troll. What is the Cowboys fallback plan when 4 and 88 are not clicking right away? It ain't 4 and Cooks. We don't know yet if it's 4 and Ferg. You know, Ferg hasn't really got going yet. Obviously, week 1 gets hurt, week 2 didn't play. You know? All right, let's talk to 210 real quick. 210, what's up?
Hello?
Yes, sir. You are live.
All right. Yeah, I watch the show all the time. I finally get a chance to call in, but I just want to get your thoughts on, do you think McCarthy is doing this slow motion stuff, like not really doing much on offense on purpose early through the season? Because it's been like this for the past time he's been here. Then he picks it up middle and towards the end of the season. Or do you think it's like they don't have no connection right now?
Yeah, I think it's what you said to start, right? I think this is just part of his program. He flat out told us last year, hey, you know, we're not showing everything. We're just not going through the motions. I don't want to say that, but we're just building up. And for me, we kind of ignored the red flags because you were blowing teams out. Defense was getting a hell of a million turnovers last year. And maybe we ignored it a little bit too in week 1. But once you got to play a big boy, it was like, all right, and we said this going into that game against the Niners. I was like, all right, now it's time, McCarthy, to let it all out. There's no building up. You're going up against a big boy. And we didn't. And I'm like, okay, that's trouble. And what happened was it took that ass whooping for him to go back to the drawing board and say, you know what? Tear up this game plan. This is what we're doing. And I wonder if the ass whooping happened so early that he'll do that again. You know, it'll be telling to see the how this week against the Baltimore Ravens defense that you should be able to scheme up some quality looks in the passing game. You should be able to do it. So I'll be interested.
Yeah, me too as well. I'm more of the positive side. I ain't gonna overreact because it's only been 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's only 2 weeks for sure.
And so I feel like I'd rather have this butt whooping taken now in week 2 than the Cowboys built our hopes up. You know, like last year going undefeated at home, blase, things like that, and then take that L against the Packers. So I'd rather just take this butt whooping now. But one more question before I head out, because I know you got other callers. Would you recommend, like, for the Cowboys, if nobody shows up this week for receiver room wise besides CD and Cooks, would you recommend them trying to trade for a receiver or pick up one in free agency?
Well, I don't think there's much of anything in free agency, my boy. Let me go check for you. Free agent. I don't think there's much there. I think you would have to pick up the phone and want to make a trade for a wide receiver. Let me say this though, okay? Let me see here. That's 2025. We don't want that. Let me say this. Aside from Devontae Adams, who are the receivers with the Raiders?
Jacoby Myers out there.
Okay.
That's the other receiver. That's it. I mean, right. Carolina's a shithole. Excuse my language. Carolina's a shithole. You can go get Deontay Johnson because he got one more year left on his contract.
Well, I'm only saying I'm trying to keep it in the here and now. I only say that because Gardner freaking Minshew went out there with Devontae Adams and quality tight ends and pretty much was able to dot these boys up. Now, Pat is Pat. Yeah. Patty is Pat. There's that. Like, don't get me wrong. And Rashee Rice is nice and they got Worthy, so I don't really want to go there. But what I'm getting at is, while I'm all about adding more talent, I can't say it more times than I've said it over the last few months. If you can't figure out how to get Ferguson, Lamb, and Cooks going, that's a problem. That's a you problem, in my opinion. And I know I'm gonna poo-poo on Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks is still a quality player. I don't think they're using Brandon Cooks like he's been used. I think he's just looked at as just another dude in this offense. I don't understand it. The dude still has skills. I watch him route guys up at the top of routes. I just think he's looked at as an afterthought. I think this passing offense is literally CeeDee Lamb, first read, CeeDee Lamb, second read, then we'll figure this thing out. I watch offenses. Hell, go look at the Saints. I think the Saints wide receiver core is a solid group, but it's not anything to write home about, but they know how to get these guys open. So all I'm saying is, if you can't figure it out with what I think is the next up-and-coming tight end, one of, if not the best wide receiver, and then a quality guy in a wide receiver room. You can say he's not wide receiver 2, whatever. I don't care. But he's a quality guy in the room. If you can't figure that out, who are you trading for that you think all of a sudden is going to just take it to the next? Because we saw Dak and them elevate with, in my opinion, probably a worse room. Right? We saw them elevate. So unless you're getting Devontae Adams, you're getting who else might be out there? That's maybe Amari Cooper, get him back. I don't think a Deontay Johnson's changing much here.
I agree. Because I watched Vosh and Brodus last night, and they were saying how Cooks, this should be a better game for Cooks, but they got to tailor the offense towards.
That's what I'm saying,
bro.
I agree.
They got him as like the fourth read or something all the way on the other side of the field when he needs to be like in the mesh concept, matched up with CD, the second read and stuff like that.
Talk to him. I agree. Me and 2i we had a lengthy conversation about that. Like it's kind of wild that he's just like, oh man, you know, we'll look at Cooks after we spam Lamb and then dump it to the, like, it's mind-boggling to me. They don't use it. He still has that second gear that is very uncanny, in my opinion. I see him come out of his stem, and it's like, whoa, he can fly, but we're not taking advantage of that. I don't give a damn if you spam 3 fly routes to him just to back the defense off and then send another. Basic stuff. My bad. I'm ranting, but it just gets me fired up. My apologies.
No, you good. You good, Scott. I agree with you, man. I agree with you. Appreciate you, dog.
Yeah, no doubt. Appreciate it, bro. Just exactly how the Saints used Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. Simple. They ran Rashid Shaheed down the middle of the field, sent Olave on the deep over. Olave's wide open. Right? That was the first possession. What happened on the second possession? Ran Shaheed's ass down the field, sent Olave on the deep over. Donovan Wilson sees the deep over because it got beat in the first possession. Not him, but they got beat in that first possession. All it takes is just him to play that deep over. Shaheed runs by him. That's basic shit. That ain't even that creative, in my opinion. Go look how they using. Go look how they using Cooks, bro. Slant. Dig. Come back. Out. What are you doing? If you're not going to use the ball, then trade his ass. I digress. Bandar. Good morning, my Saudi brother. How you doing?
How are you, Sky? How's everything?
Everything is everything, brother.
You know, Sky, I have a statement and I have a question. I don't want to take too long because I know we're going to the weekend. But I was every time I was going onto vacation, I said I'm going to Dubai. My Cowboys were going to be 2-0. I didn't even think about the Saints, and that's my fault. It's my Cowboys. I should think about it. And we lost. I canceled my vacation. I don't want to go.
Well, Ben, dog, all you got to do is tune into the show when we break down the opposing team. But I'll set you up with what they could do well that could potentially beat you. I got you. But if you just look at the schedule preseason and just, win-loss this thing, yeah, you're probably going to have some of those games where you're like, oops, kind of overlooked that one. Yeah.
Yeah, we overlooked it. I was very surprised they diced it up. It's from the first drive. I said, oh, it's going to be like this. It's not. And what you always talking about, Sky, is what's hurting me, which is the motion, the change of direction, the creativity. Mm-hmm. I mean, this he's from the Shanahan tree, the Kubiak kid. I mean, I even watched the old Super Bowl to educate myself. It was between Denver and the Giants. I swear, Sky, we're not reinventing the wheel. Why don't you do this? It's been happening since the 80s. The direction, the motion. Why doesn't McCarthy does that? I'm not sure why. I have no. I mean, it's just frustrating. I mean, all put it on deck and go be superhero. Why don't we have misdirection? Why don't we have motion? Why don't we have creative run game? Is it that hard, Sky?
I don't think that's ever been in his bag. So we're just doing what the scheme requires from McCarthy. And look, again, I'm not trying to pin everything on one guy because I say this all the time. Okay, this is what you have to work with. Now you need your players to be the best in it, and they have not been over the first few weeks. Point blank. Period. Now, could they be assisted? Absolutely. I'm big on. I think you can help out your. That's what you're coached for. That's what you're paid for as a coach. I mean, is to help out your guys, no matter how good they are. Like it shouldn't be go out there and be a superhero. But this is what it is, Bandar, and somehow, some way, Dak and CD, those boys, McCarthy got to sit down. They got to figure out how to get the best out of this offense. Let me say this quick. I would like to see kind of what happened around week 6 for the Cowboys last year. Dak just starts saying, okay, I'm done just sitting back here waiting for these generic-ass routes to develop. After 2.5, I'm taking off. Either I'm running or I'm moving around trying to make something happen on a breakdown. Once he start doing that, That's when MVP Dak Prescott started to happen. I think right now he's putting a little bit too much trust in the play call and too much trust in himself going up to the line and playing Kim K, and all this other stuff. And then because there's still generic ass routes and concepts. And then when nothing is there, he's trying to sit back, let it develop. Nah, Dak. He even said this in his presser. He said, I gotta dip up out the pocket a little bit more, man. And I agree. I think start moving, start making plays with your legs again. And I think he'll get back to what we saw a little bit last year.
Hopefully, but my two other things is when I look to the presser after from Zimmer, from Schottenheimer, from McCarthy, it's all cliche, bunch of cliches answer. I'm not sure if I know Clarence Hill, my other brother from America. It's just they're asking. They pressed them in the question, but their answer all cliche. I didn't get good answer. Why did we were so flat in that game? Anyhow, hopefully we will compete. My question, Sky, for you is: do you think about Cook? Do you think because he's undersized, he's not utilized in the run game or in the pass blocking? Do you think like him being undersized maybe affecting a run game? Like I see, like San Francisco Ayuk. He's involved in blocking some other players like from other teams
because they use their wide receivers in the run game. You know, from time to time, Dallas. Look, receivers have to block. Period. That's just part of football. Like cornerbacks have to tackle. Their main duty is to run routes and catch passes, and the quarterback's main duty is to cover guys. But you're going to be asked to do some of the dirty work. There's no doubt about it. You could use better blocking, but those specific schemes. The Rams and the Niners specifically, quite literally, depend on their wide receivers to be a part of the blocking, right? Down in, down out type situation. So I think it's different. I don't think really the running game problems have anything to do with Brandon Cook's size. No, I think it has a lot more to do with how they're running, a lot more to do with how you're blocking, and a lot more to do with who's in the backfield before we even get remotely close to the running back or to the wide receivers.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Appreciate you taking my call, brother. Shukran, brother.
Shouts out to you, man. Appreciate you, Bandar. Y'all better leave him alone. Hey, Bandar, they said you should buy the team. I said, Bandar, you work for, what's the T-Mobile you said? Telemarketer, something?
No. I work in risk management, but in telecommunication. I'm not that rich, brother.
Telecommunication. Y'all better leave Bandar alone. Talking about buy the team. Better be careful before you be on the phone with Bandar.
I don't have. I wish I have that kind of money.
All right, brother.
Thank you, Sky. Thank you,
brother. Y'all better leave him alone. Shit. So one of y'all might not be paying y'all. You gonna be talking to Bandar. He gonna remember y'all was talking that mess. Jack, you got me, bro.
I swear I do.
What's up with you,
hey,
man?
Scott. How you doing, man? You all right? The family good?
The family good, man. I'm happy to hear from you.
Man, you already know. I couldn't wait too long to not talk to you. But with all the pleasantries out the way, man, with all due damn disrespect, can we stop sounding like we're in week 9, please?
All right, Jack, you're right.
Can we stop acting like the playoffs is around the corner and we ain't made it? Can we stop doing that? Can we be disappointed? Hell yeah. Shit, yeah, be disappointed. I didn't want to see them go out like that, but they did.
They did.
All right, now let's go back to the drawing board. Let's go fix it. Let's go out here, take it out on the Ravens come this week. Let's do that first.
And
Can
Jack,
we get the rust out of it?
And Jack, if they get this dub, I do think it helps erase week 2 for the time being, right? It's a little bit of medicine. But you can't let the Saints loss roll into 2 losses. You can't let it. You just cannot do it. Because the title of today's show, because I saw it in the chat, I saw it across, Cowboys Nation, is this a must win? I personally don't believe week 3 is a must win, but I tell you what, you don't win this game, you start creeping into you cannot drop many more early in the season.
No, we don't. We definitely don't want this to snowball. We don't want this to snowball.
Right.
Granted. But it's the same 12-5 team that we had last year. We started off similar, but at the end of the day gonna end. They gonna go out there and they gonna play football. But all I'm asking, as I walk through the garden with my tap dance shoes on, and all the air filled with the best kind of fragrances in the world, as I sip my strawberry Hennessy margarita, as I go pick up my Micah Parsons jersey to get prepared for Sunday. Just relax. Trust in your team as you did last year. Did we have some hiccups? Sure, we did. But they got to play football.
Hey, Jack, I think that's that's the problem. I think that's the problem the Cowboy fans have right now. They don't trust them. They don't trust them because this has happened too often. It happened to end the season last year. It happened to start the season this year. I think trust is a huge factor in why there's not a lot of relaxation after that type of game.
Well, I get it. Yeah. I get that. But we in this relationship. You know what I'm saying? We decided to be in this relationship. So the good, the bad, the ugly, the pretty, the fat, the skinny, the small, the tall, the short, the big, and the all. We decided to take this on. So don't go into it already despising your team. Don't go into it, again, as I said many times, what you're a fan for this. It's okay to be disappointed. It's okay to be plumb right mad. Upset. Bewildered. Flabbergasted, if you will.
If you are out on the season, I say this all the time, and there's a lot of fans that act like Stephen A. when the Cowboys lose. If that's what you're in it for, to watch them lose, you are a diabolical, foul weather fan. But if you are legitimately out on the season, I just personally think you're just putting yourself through unnecessary stress by watching. Me personally, you know what I mean? Like that's why I've adopted week to week, because if you look at it that way, then I'm not watching. Just me personally.
Right.
If I'm out, I'm out. I'm not stressing on this damn team if that's how I feel. That's just how I look at it.
I live in D.C., right? I live in D.C., so I get all of that. You know what I'm saying? From the Commanders fans, the Phillies fans, the New York fans, I get all of that. And I always remind them, I say, hold on now. It's just week 2. Slow down. You know what I'm saying?
All right, man.
And as I let you have, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate you for welcoming me in your house. And just always remember, if ain't nobody got you, Jack got you.
Thanks.
Peace and blessings.
Salute. Man, it's tough. It's tough to take it's just weak. It's tough, especially with how you lost, but I hate to be this guy. Y'all know we said that for like the last 5 years. Y'all know we said it. You know we said it. I probably said it too. It's just week 2. No big deal. It's just week 5. No big deal. It's just week 1. No big deal. It's just no big deal. But every time you get in the offs, you lose in that manner type situation. So I feel you. I feel y'all. It is just week 2. Is it going to be just week 3? Hope not. Hope like hell not. If it ain't a must-win game, it's damn sure a statement game. I think even more so than week 1. Remember we were talking about is week 1 must win. I was like, hell no. But you could send a statement. But here's what's going to happen, and this is why I don't think you should pay attention to what the hell is being said outside the organization if I'm the Cowboys, or even if I'm a Cowboy fan. If you do get this dub over the Ravens, they're going to say this is an 0-3 Raven team. That's what they're going to say. And they'll be right. And if you lose, you lost to an 0-2 Ravens team and ring the alarm. So you just got to look at this as this. They're 0-0. You're 0-0. Got to go get this. You can't lose 3 home games in a row. Right? Don't let last week carry you. You just got to take this thing one game at a time and then see where this momentum is carrying you later. But I'm sorry. I'm not going to ridicule fans after what happened last week, combined with the last, 8-9 months, for being pissed off and frustrated. Not doing it, bro. All right, let's get 603. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more callers. 603, what's up?
Hey, Scott, what's going on, man? It's Roy. Hey, look, man, you know how McCarthy got the job. He got the job because we could not beat him when he was in Green Bay. And it's almost like a Weekend at Bernie's thing, man. It's like he's a dead body and somebody was propping him up, man. And so McCarthy, the offense is always going to be behind the defense. The defense is what I'm concerned about, man. We bring back Carlos Watkins. It's like bringing Randy Watkins and Sexual Chocolate back and do a concert, man. When they Saturday,
Randy Watson, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, come on, man. I just want a real defensive tackle, man. I just want some. Man, you know, Saika Ika's out there on the practice squad. How come we bottom feeding anyway? We scraping the bottom of the barrel. Why didn't we go after Saika Ika and see what he got?
Even that wouldn't even really move the needle. What they really should do, because they clearly, Roy, don't know how to draft these dudes. They don't know how to draft a difference maker. There has not been a drafted difference maker since Russell Maryland, right? So here's what you do. Here's what you do. Stop.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Stop coddling these picks and go get you a damn difference maker. They keep coddling these damn picks and thinking that these picks is worth gold when in reality they ain't worth a damn. Because you missed on Tristan, you missed on Mozzie, you missed on Bo, you missed on Ridgeway. And look, no disrespect to Ridgeway, he ain't a difference maker, so whatever. You missed on any of these other dudes you've drafted, which ain't been a whole lot of them, or you've signed from the bottom of the barrel, or you've traded for a 7th round pick, or you've undrafted free agent brought in. You missed. Stop acting like what you're doing is the best thing. It's not, especially for that position. So go get me a damn dude. Use one of those high picks and get a dude.
I was looking at the practice squads all the time. I looked at all the practice squads. There's a dude, man, I think would work.
That ain't gonna work.
Broderick Martin, man. We got to take a chance, man. The Joneses ain't going to.
That ain't taking a chance. That's doing the same damn thing you've been doing for 20 years. The chance is saying, I'm going to take my 1 or 2 or even 3, I don't know, whatever, and I'm going to get a dude.
Scott, I'm with you on that, man. I'm with you on trading draft capital, but you know how the Joneses, they ain't gonna do it, man. They're holding on. They holding on to them draft picks like it's a ticket to heaven, man. They holding on to it, man. They ain't gonna give them up.
Well, don't expect nothing. Don't expect the practice squad guy to save you, bro.
I mean, that's the only way. You know how the Jones. You know how we got into Amari Cooper, and how we got into Jonathan Hankins. It's because the Joneses had to be drugged into that, to doing what they did to getting them. Because we were doing wide receiver by committee and it failed. We were doing we couldn't stop the run. I mean, we were getting run on, so they made a trade and got Jonathan Hankins. They gonna have to get hurt again like that for them to do that. We still up under the Marinelli philosophy, who devalued defensive tackles. He hated defensive tackles for some reason. I don't know what it was, man. I don't know what it was. And the reason. And another thing,
I think it's two different situations. Marinelli devalued big boys, where in this case, I think the organization devalues. Well, I can't even really say that. They just spent the 1st round pick on Mozzie, but the organization is not getting risky with a defensive tackle, like going out and trading for one or signing a big free agent, because they don't do that in general. So Marinelli wanted small guys to get upfield. clearly over the last few years, they've drafted for the first time in years big boys, but they're waiting to do it late, and then they just missed and whiffed on Mozzie. Like, they try. I'll give you a golf clap for trying on Mozzie, but, brother, this ain't working. So you just got to –
Mozzie is not working, brother.
Right
He's
now.
not working, man. He's MIA, missing in action, man. We got to move on, man. You can't save a soldier, man, that don't want to be saved, man.
I know Cowboys Nation, it take time and all that, and that's cool. Mozzie can take his sweet-ass time right over here while we go out and get a dude that's going to help us.
But Carlos Watkins and the sexual chopper group ain't going to help us, man. Ain't going to help us, brother. They ain't helping us.
We'll see. Appreciate the call, Roy. I'll say this about Watkins, and I said this yesterday. I do know one thing about Carlos. Carlos ain't going to move the needle. Not moving. But what Carlos is going to do, he's going to go 110%. You won't see Carlos Watkins out there loafing like 97 was, or whatever number Jordan Phillips wears. You won't see him loafing. No, sorry, Bobski. But Los is not even, he doesn't even really fit what they do. Another kind of tweener type. So, hopefully he can, whatever snaps he does get, he can kind of hold on there. But I don't know, man. This organization, they do things their way, and they hope it works. But for this week in general, we talked with Pat, and I asked Pat the question, are they going to call up Haskins or Denzel Jackson? Because right now, at the very least, you need Mozzie because he's a body. But you don't want a bad body out there physically is what I'm getting at. Mozzie's missed practice 2 days in a row with a back and injured his back in the game. So it looks like Mozzie's not going to play. Jordan Phillips is an addition by subtraction, but there's no Jordan Phillips. So you're down 2 defensive tackles. Right now, your defensive tackle room, and I'm not counting no damn Carlos or I'm not counting Golston. What do you got here? I mean, what are we talking about? Linval Joseph and Osa Digizua. Now, Carlos Watkins has to be on the 53, so you got Los too. Those are your defensive tackles this week, y'all. You got one tech. And he's 38 years old or whatever. He shouldn't be playing more than 15 snaps in the game. And they're going to ask him to play a lot of snaps. So, what do? You go look at your practice squad and you say, okay, Phil Hoskins. You say Denzel Jackson. I think you got to call both, right? Like, if Mozzie's not playing, you can't roll out there with 3. Chauncey Wilson, you can't roll out there with 3 defensive tackles. 2 of which go about, one's 280 and one's like 295. Right, Los 295. Okay, 300. You about 300, 305. 2 smaller guys and 1 legitimate nose tackle. You got to call up those big boys. And then you just say, look, just survive until we figure this thing out. But for me, if you truly are really trying to go, I don't want to use the term. I'm sick of hearing it. But if you're really trying to be aggressive during the season, go get you a dude up front. We'll see what happens this week, but the question was posed the other day to me from 2i, the 3 positions, receiver, defense tackle, running back, if you had to make a move. It's a great question. But I'm leaning towards DT. It's a great question though, because you need your running back. Let's keep it moving. 404, what it do?
What's going on, Phil? How you?
I'm good, brother.
Not much. How I sound?
You sound great. I got you loud and clear.
All right, perfect. All right, man. I'm so glad that the caller, a couple callers ago, the one that basically told y'all to relax. We got to relax as Dallas Cowboys fans, man. It's really irking my soul. And he said something too so crazy. He said, we chose this relationship. We know what it is. We know what it is. We knew in March when the Joneses didn't pick up Saquon, didn't pick up Zach Moss, didn't pick up Aaron Jones, didn't draft a running back. We knew the running game was going to be trash. We knew that. We knew back when they let Haskins go, couldn't even pay him $1 million to keep him. We know when they didn't address it in the draft. We knew our D tackles were going to be bad. We knew that. But my thing is, let's not just throw out. Let's not throw out what is it called. Throw out the baby.
Throw the
with
baby
the
out the
water.
bath water. Yeah.
Let's not we're a good team. We're a good team. We're not winning the Super Bowl. Not with this.
Yeah.
But we're still a good team. And Mike McCarthy is still a good coach. I'm the one that called in earlier this week. Mike McCarthy is a great coach. With the limitations that the Joneses puts on him every year, the boy is winning 12 games a year. He won 6 with Andy Dalton as the quarterback in the worst defense in the league. Like the scheme is not antiquated. We don't have the horses. We don't have the horses.
Very
but
antiquated.
even with that,
Anybody that's smart that watches that. No, this is my show. I'm gonna let myself rock if I would like to. You're supposed to say I got you. Let you go in. Anybody that's watching this scheme that understands the game of offensive football has come away with this being an antiquated scheme.
You could bring Andy Reid here, and if you're saying Andy Reid with only CD and that, and we're not going to invest in the run game, we're not going to invest in any other weapons, like not even mid-tier free agents. If you look at when KC didn't re-sign Tyreek, they at least went out and got Valdez-Scantling and Juju Smith-Schuster, mid-level dudes. They didn't rely on the Jaylen Brooks and the Flournoys of the world to fill that void. So again, you bring Andy Reid in here, he's going to do about as good or just a tad bit better than McCarthy. There's limitations on this team that come from the top. But everybody in it is not trash. Everybody in it is not trash. And for me, I go to the nitty gritty of the scheme of it. This week, I'm not scared of this run game. The truth be told, the Ravens run game outside of Lamar scrambling, one, is definitely not explosive, and it's not even that great. And they run a lot of 11 personnel. Even when they run 12 personnel, it's not the big formation. It's not big formation. They're going to put Andrews out wide. They're going to put Likely out wide. They run a wide scheme, and then they don't play action. They don't dress it up. So our real problem on defense, our real problem last week was the linebackers. I understand D tackles was worse. I'm glad they got rid of Jordan Phillips, but our linebackers and our linebacker fits because they were just too caught up in the eye candy of the Shanahan scheme, and that's why we always get killed. But our linebackers will play better. Put Demo in, take Mars out. We'll be better. We're going to stop the run this year. I put everything I love on. We're going to stop the run on it. And Lamar in the pass game is not scary. But he had 19 passing touchdowns at week 15 last year. It took a five TD pass game versus the injured Miami Dolphins just for him to get 24 pass TDs. I'm not scared of him in the pass game. So let's relax. We'll be all right. We'll be a 10-win team. We'll be a playoff team. We're going to lose in the same fashion because the Joneses do. But y'all just got to enjoy this ride because we know it. We already knew. We knew how it was going to look back in March.
You done?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. So if you're in a relationship, like you said the caller was like, hey, yeah, we're in this relationship. We knew what we got into or whatever, right? If you're in a relationship and you see that there are issues, do you not communicate those issues to your partner or do you just let them issues go until you have a blow up?
If your partner does the same thing year after year, then they're communicating how they're gonna behave. We know what the Joneses is going to do.
But if year after year you're not,
go ahead.
I'm not talking about the Joneses, dog. This is the season now. We're in the season. This isn't April. This isn't July. We're in the season. Okay. If you're in a relationship, which we're in with the Cowboys, and you see issues arise on a daily talk show, we're going to talk about them. For y'all that call in here and do this is mind-boggling to me. What do you want me to do when we get our asses kicked like that? Because you group me in there with that.
I'm talking to the fans.
And if the fans too, what do you want the fans to?
It's all love with you, Scott.
Let me get the back of the fans that also call into the show, participate in the chat, and voice their frustrations. What is so wrong with that when there's a game like that? Now, for those that are giving up on the season, 100% with you, whatever, then I probably just don't watch. But after a game like that, I don't understand why it's such a big deal for fans to voice their frustration about what they just saw. There's that. Okay. Now, as for the Ravens, look, I'm not stamping anything left or right. I love the confidence. You said we're going to shut down the run game. You said they don't do anything special. I said that the other day. I don't think they do anything special. They play hat on the hat ball. You don't got hat on the hat guys on the interior. That's going to be very interesting to see how that man's up. You said they're not really productive. I mean, Justice Hill and Derrick Henry, they all average over 4.5 yards per carry, I think it is, or at the very least. And it's not because they do any juicy things, like any razzle dazzle. So they actually do have a productive run game. Not even talking about Lamar. They actually have a productive run game. It's going to be up to you to thwart that, in my opinion, and really to stop Lamar Jackson with his legs. If you can stop him from running around and force him to throw into a sea of a bunch of people, I absolutely think that you can, not shut down, but contain this offense. This isn't an explosive offense, not yet. A lot of their plays are not explosive plays, and we did all that breaking down. So I'm with you. There's definitely avenues to beat this team, but you are a lot more confident than I am in stopping the run. After last week, they got to go prove it to me before I'm saying anything with my chest about them stopping the run, bro. Because they hammered you last week. And this team is going to do very similar things. Type 12 tight end situations. They're going to run counter pulls. They're going to run power run game at you. And you don't have power guys in the middle of that defense. And if you allow them to get to the second level to your linebackers, now we're talking about 4 or 5 yards a pop. And you don't want that to happen.
I think because they don't do the dressing up stuff of a Shanahan scheme, our linebackers will fit better. And our linebackers will it's kind of the reverse. Our linebackers will help the D tackles. They'll fit better, run game, and again, you're not really worried about big guy running back Henry on the edges. You're not really worried about him on the edges. So we're coming downhill.
What?
I'm confident
Did you
that
watch the Raiders
maybe
game?
not stop, but it's not
serious
going
question.
It's not going to destroy you.
Did you watch the Raiders game?
Who?
The Raiders game.
Did I watch the Raiders game? The Ravens versus the Raiders?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, of course.
And you came away with Derrick Henry on the edges. You don't got to worry about him.
I'm not. When I say edges, I'm talking like outside. You're not worried about him outside run game. He's going to be B gap mainly.
With all due respect, you didn't watch the Raiders game then. With all due respect, because he had all of his big gains came on the outside. It came with elephants on parade. And it came, and that's what I'm saying. Like they're going to. I said this the other day. They have to bring their hard hats in this game because they're going to pull guard, tackle, and get big guys on the outside. They're going to have that tight end swing around on the outside. They may not run a whole lot of pre-snap crazy motion like that, but post-snap they'll bring the tight end backside and they'll get Henry on the edge with elephants on parade, and that's where he can be really dangerous. So that's the only reason why I asked that. Because when he had 5 rushing yards in the first half against the Raiders, in the second half he had 72 and like 60. I think it was like 60-something of them were on the outside. So they do have to be ready for that.
I'm confident on the flow of our linebackers without the dressing up. They'll flow better, run better, they'll fit better versus this game. And again, Lamar in the passing game, yes, you worried about him making the spectacular play, but it's hard to live like that all day. So I feel like this game is going to look more like week 1 than it is going to look like week 2. And,
I definitely don't think it's going to look like week 2. Me personally, I think week 2 is going to be more of a, when it comes to the season, an outlier. I don't think that's going to be the true testament of who your defense is for 17 games. No doubt about it. If they lose this game, it ain't going to be 44 or whatever. No, hell no.
I think they can win it comfortable.
And if they win it, I think it'd be a tough game. I think that's what I'm talking about. Cowboys. If the Cowboys lose this game, I don't think it looks like week 2. If they win this game, I think it'd be closer than week 1.
Okay, I'm with you on that. Love, Sky. Do your thing.
Salute. Somebody said based on what? Hopium. I don't base my observations on hopium. But that's everybody has their opinion. I just base my observations and analysis on what I saw. And based off of what I saw the first 2 weeks or last week and what the Ravens have done the first few weeks on the ground, it'll be a challenge. And if they accept that challenge and meet that challenge, that'll go a long way in getting their confidence back, because they just got whooped, man. They just got whooped. And I don't think it had a whole lot to do on the ground with Shanahan's type scheme. I just think you got hat on hat whooped. Once again, debunking the myth. Early in that game had nothing to do with running the ball. Nothing. They got up on you 21-6 by throwing. Then once that game got out of hand like that, they said, shit, we just doing basic toss stuff. It wasn't nothing really that crazy. So they got to put their hard hats on. They got to respond. And I think they will, to the point it ain't going to look like that. But look, this ain't going to be easy, man. I love the confidence, but all right. $100,000. What's up, man?
Can I interest you in a 20 to 32 to 35 point victory?
By who?
The Cowboys offense have an explosion day. Dak Prescott throws for like 275, almost 300 yards.
I would love it.
We beat them because we outshoot them. They're going to get their touchdowns on the ground. I don't think we're going to stop their run like that. But they won't be able to run the ball for the rest of the game because they can't keep up with the offense.
All right. I hope you're right.
That's how that game is going to go. That's how that game is going to go. I'm trying to tell you. That's how it's going to go. We're going to beat them.
That's a hell of a hot take. A 35-point victory would be that'd be crazy.
You look at the you look at the Ravens. Their pass defense is barsudu, trash. They don't have the corners to keep up, and they definitely can't keep up with tight ends. Listen. I'm trying to tell you. Lamar Jackson ain't gonna be able to do all that running when you can't keep up with the offense.
Hope you're right, $100,000. I got no rebuttal, man. I don't know how I rebut to a 35-point victory. I hope you're right. That's all I can say.
Yeah, and that's how you stop the run. You stop the run. If you keep scoring, they can't keep running the football.
You can't live like that, unfortunately. But hey, that's how we've been living for the last 15, 20 years in Dallas. So it has been on a hamster wheel for the last 15, 20 years. And our best run defense is our offense. And eventually, you're going to run into a team that can score a lot. You're going to run into a team that can make you work offensively. And next thing you know, 266 yards on the ground. And you waking up like, what the hell happened? But
I agree. But Scott, last night, the Patriots beat you by keeping a low-score game and running the football and not turning the ball. No, listen. They keep the Patriots, right? That's how they win games. They couldn't do it. Why they couldn't do it? Because they don't have
$100,000. Let me save you. $100,000. Let me save you. The Patriots got their ass whooped last night. What are you talking about?
No. You're feeding into my point. I don't believe the Ravens have the capability of keeping up with your offense, just like the Patriots don't.
Oh, okay.
The Ravens don't got it this year.
You said the Patriots won last night by keeping it low.
No. I said that's how they want to win games, but they couldn't do it because they couldn't keep up with the Jets. No, you ain't let me finish my point, bro. Because you
did let you finish your point. You just was wrong. You said the Patriots won last night because they did this and that.
No, I meant to say that's how. No, I said the Patriots want to win games that way, but they can't. They can't win games that way.
So now, the Ravens are the New England Patriots, ladies and gentlemen. What the hell are y'all smoking today?
The Ravens don't have the offense to keep up with high-powered offenses. They don't have it, Scott. I'm trying to tell you, they don't. They don't, and it will be proven on Sunday.
You know, I would love for the Cowboys to show we a high-powered offense this year. We ain't showed that just quite yet, bro. We got 3 touchdowns in 24 possessions, so I would love for the high-powered offense Cowboys to wake up.
Every game is different, Scott.
Yeah,
you know that. You can't base a game off two.
Ain't that what you doing? That's what you doing with the Ravens.
You just said we ain't showing a high-powered offense. We gonna show it on Sunday. I just told you we gonna put up 35 points. I just told you that.
You're right. You did, and I hope you're right, bro. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Based off the Ravens, and I told you they back end is garbage. They back end is garbage, and they can't stop tight ends.
You can't. You're right.
I just told you that.
You ain't telling me nothing, bro. I said this stuff all week. I've been talking about their defense all week, bro. But I'm gonna let it go off. Do your thing, bro. Cook.
So you're not on my side with the blowout. Then you should be on my side with we gonna put up 35 points.
Listen, bro. I base off of what I study, research, watch, and I give my realistic, objective opinion. You can give your homer take because you can do that. I have an obligation to y'all. I'm not giving you a homer take that we're gonna win by 35 damn points. I'm sorry.
Not necessarily a homer.
That is 100% a 100 grand.
Scott,
you being a homer, and that's okay.
If you did no. You said you did the research. You said I've been saying the same thing that you've been saying all week.
No, I'm talking about with the defense
because you did the research.
Right, but I also do research on my own team. I do research on my own team, and I've seen nothing weeks 1 and 2 to say that they're going to beat these boys by 35 because the offense is just unstoppable. I hope hey, 100 grand. Here's what I hope you're right. So much so 100 grand that if it happens, I will give 100 grand call segment where you call in here 100 grand and you can just I told you so me to death. I want you to be so right 100 grand that they can't stop us. We go for 400 yards, 52 points, and 100 grand. Take it away, man. I told you so me to death. I hope you're right, bro. Please.
I'm gonna hold you to that too.
Hold me to it, bro. Hold me to it.
Clip that.
Hold me to it.
Clip this.
Hold me to it.
People, clip it.
Clip it, roll it up, put it in a bottle, send it over to 100 grand, and I'm gonna sit back and let you do your thing, bro. But what I've seen the first 2 weeks, the Cowboys scored 7 touchdowns. You said 35, 6 touchdowns in one game. Well, actually 5 touchdowns. 5 touchdowns in one game, boy. I don't see it just yet, but I hope you're right.
All right, bro.
All right, man.
I know you got other callers. All right.
See, I tried to let 100 grand just do his thing. I didn't even want to go. I didn't even want to go in. But boy, y'all on something today, man. I'm speechless. 318, what's up?
Hey, what's up, Sky? How you doing?
I'm good, man.
Man, you do I sound clear?
Yeah, you sound a little low, but I'll turn you up. I got you. Go ahead, bro.
All right. Hey, so it's a little nitpicky, but you do a good job of kind of reeling me back in when I hear an idea that's similar to mine and I have a disagreement, but maybe you can kick this back to me. I'm going to go with a positive play that we all remember so we kind of can bring my point across. Week 1, the very first play of the game, Ezekiel Elliott gets outside, even though he could have cut it up maybe 2 times, and he hops over Denzel Ward. You know what I'm saying?
The Cleveland game.
From a Cleveland game, right?
Yeah.
From what this team needs, from a mental standpoint, physical standpoint, if he's going right there at that corner, my thought of Ezekiel is his best skill is corners, safeties, linebackers hate tackling. I want to see Ezekiel Elliott have this mentality for like the next couple of games where he gets somebody that small or anything of that nature. I'm running through you just because today. Like, just to send a loud message through the team that this is how we playing for the rest of the day. Maybe it reverberates through the whole team as we mean business today. Like, just to bring that physicality continue, because I think he's the one that's with it.
So you saying like a statement play?
Yeah, just a few, just you know.
Yeah, I think like Zeke, that would
like
have been.
Young Zeke.
that would have been the thing. I think the guy for that. So here's the. I agree. If you're looking for to stay in this lane, right? I agree with your basis, like your sentiment. But the player I would do it with, bro, is Jake Ferguson. Because I feel like Jake Ferguson brings that kind of junkyard dog mentality to the game. You find a way to get shaky Jake, freaky Ferg, because he'll run your ass over too. Now he'll jump over you, but Ferg will send a message, right? I would rather it be there. Because it's really hard for Zeke to kind of get that type of momentum to do that with this run game. But, I mean, could you imagine if he did say you blocked it up on some type of trap type design and you get head up against Roquan Smith and he trucks Roquan? Oh, yeah, that'd get the crowd hype for sure.
It'll get hype. But, you know, and I guess part of it is like, I'm like, just adding a value to the run game. Because the run game, it have its moments. It's had some good runs at times, and it has some where it's blocked up well, and we still don't get enough. But it's like,
I would love to know what those good moments were. But
no, a couple of Rico good runs. He last like early in the game. He had a few good runs. I was like, okay, that's solid. We can live with that. It wasn't nothing explosive. Just they were fine, right? I would like to like in times where Zeke's like, bro, I know we in open field, but treat this like goal line. Just run through somebody. Bounce off somebody if you can, and just like send a message. And it's just a value part of it. I'd rather him do it than jump cutting at times, trying to make someone miss or something in that nature. Like, well, it's just a nitpicky thing.
I think the jump cuts are important for him when he's running between the tackles. You see the importance of it. But I do think he looks for contact to run guys over. But you're right. That first play of the game on the outside, he jumped over my man and. Everybody like Zeke back, and it was fun. It was nostalgic, but you saying instead of doing that, run his ass over. That's what you want to see.
Yeah, just I ain't saying do it more than once. I'm just saying like just at least early in the game, make that statement. You got a small guy, a safety, or a cornerback. Just
he could have
chucked
it too. I went back to see the play. He could have put that dude on his ass. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the only thing where I was like. Maybe we could use that kind of physicality once to play. And I know Zeke capable of that. He may have lost a little speed, but I'm like, hey, he can turn his body and carry him for about another 2 yards, if anything. Just tell him we're gonna run through people today. We run it for a while.
This is gonna be a tough one to do it on, but.
For sure.
But if you can do it on the Ravens, man, that will exude confidence moving forward. Appreciate the call, man.
Yeah. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, let's wrap this thing up with G from the 215 over there in Philly area. What's up, man?
All right. What's up, Will? Don't give me 3 minutes now. You let $100,000 everybody else go forever. Come on, nephew.
I mean, I didn't know I said I was giving you 3. I said we closing it out with 215. Do your thing, bro. Do your thing.
What's up? I got something to say in closing, but before in closing, man, R.I.P. to Dwayne Thomas, anybody that remembers him. I know a few of us old heads, but R.I.P. I don't know if that was ever mentioned.
Hollywood?
But Dwayne Thomas, running back. Look him up, young bulls. No, running back. Yeah. Running back. Look him up, young bulls. He was nice. But first thing, man, all this enjoy the ride and all that. I know the chat's going to go crazy, but all that enjoy the ride is like going to a parlor and it says you're going to get a happy. It's on the sign says happy ending, but when you come in here and pay for these services, you're not going to get a happy ending. All that enjoy the ride, that's cool, man. The Super Bowl is the happy ending, and I'm smart enough, old enough to know that we're not going to get there this year. Most likely, anything can happen. But you want to see steps. You want to see us get through the first round. You want to see us get through the second round. Third round, then, you progress. All that, enjoy the ride. How can you enjoy the ride if you know you're not getting a happy ending? Are you guys cool with that? Are you cool with that? That's what I want to know. Once again, I'm smart enough to understand every season is a new season. But I called last week. I had some concerns, and people in the chat calling me a clown and grow up. Dan the man and whoever else was in there talking about grow up. When I said I had concern, week 1, grow up. It's week 1, fam. It's week. Having concerns is not saying that you're not a fan. Having concerns is saying that you're intelligent. I said I had concerns. after that win. I didn't say we weren't going to win or our season is over or we done. So what I'm saying to you guys, stop clowning in the chat room. We can have fun. But don't say somebody's a clown because they have concerns after week 1. And then look what happened in week 2. Now, who's the clown?
Yeah, don't call. Yeah, I agree with that part. You ain't got to call people clowns and stuff like that. You can clown in the chat. Because look, if you can't take they clown me. I get clowned all the time. We have some fun. Right. But you ain't got to call. Right. Yeah, we ain't got to call people clowns. I might call you goofy. I might call you goofy from time to time if you say some goofy things. Don't get twisted. Yeah. But having concerns after hey, didn't I come on here and show a little bit of concern? Things I happen to be worried about. So yeah, I mean, I don't mean you a clown or anything, man. The enjoy the ride part. Like there's something to enjoy a football season, but I totally get as a Cowboy fan, it can become hard to do that, especially given at the end of the day, to keep it 100 is really hard to for a lot of people to get jazzed up about what happens between weeks 1 and 18. I get it, bro. It's really hard because the standard is not that. So that's why I've adopted it. I'm just taking this thing 1 week at a time, and we just gonna try to figure it out as we go. Because I'm not trying to think about January, because if I do that, I probably will get depressed. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So if the ride is, if we're on a 7-1, 11-1 ride, of course enjoy that. What the hell is there to enjoy about last week? So you mad at fans for not enjoying that part of last week? Nah, come on, you gotta stop that. You gotta stop that. Okay?
You gotta stop that. And all the scheme thing, like my man, no disrespect to my man talking about our scheme. I said in the chat last week, and I'll ask you this question. If the Saints had Dak and Turpin, would they have done the same thing to us that they did with Carr and the Speedy Boy?
If the Saints had Dak and Turpin, probably, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, because that's the scheme. That's the foresight. Our fastest man is going to beat your safeties. They go into the game. They don't care about who's selling jerseys and who's supposed to get the amount of touches. It's the scheme and the strategy. Our fastest man is going to kill y'all. He's going to kill y'all in a run game. He's going to blow by your safeties. And he's going to and Carr's going to dot you up. It's not about, this man sell all these jerseys. How about the irony of we waited 4 weeks last year for CD to get involved because they was trying to stunt his contract. Now he gets paid. Now it's CD overdose. And I love CD. But can we get more people involved? I'm so sick of this.
Let him
every year. It's 3 people that gets the ball every year until something has to happen. You sprinkle in this and you sprinkle in that. That man came out last week and said, take this, Dallas. Y'all can't do nothing with this speed. Take it.
I'm sick
of it, man.
You on to something right there, bro. I don't know if you heard the beginning of the show where I was like, man, what I'm watching is read 1, CD, read 2, CD, read. Oh, now I'm gonna go here. Like, and normally that happens when we're pressed. Like when the offense is bogged down, another team starts scoring a lot. Now we start to spam. I don't know if we got to do a contract, but we did hear. What did Steven say? What did Steven say in the offseason? Well, now that he's about to get paid, we're going to be asking more of him type situation. But you're right. I mean, make a good point. I do think if Turpin was on the opposite side, Turpin would have been Shaheed. And we could key and he about Turpin dropping the ball across the middle of the field. You know where I haven't seen Turpin drop the ball? On deep passes.
On deep passes.
I ain't seen him drop the ball on the deep pass yet. So, I agree. I don't think they would have cared that about who's getting money or who's a first round pick or who's what. They're just going to play to the strength of their team. And I think right now our strength is Zeke and 4, and we're spamming that without any creativity elsewhere. So I agree with you when you talk about the caller. And me and the caller we have our differences. I'm not trying to change his mind. He's stuck in the mud with his. I'm stuck in the mud with mine. I don't think McCarthy is some amazing, great coordinator. I think he is a quality general in the sense of, building a program and winning in a regular season or what have you. If he got horses, clearly you need to have those, right? But very a la Jason Garrett, when he had his guys, they were pretty good. But when it comes to offensively, I don't even know if you would put him in the top 15 when it comes to offensive minds. So that's where we disagree. I think he can be a general in sense of maybe leading men Monday through Friday. But when it comes to the X's and O's of this, I just don't know how you can go back, put on the all-22, and come away impressed. I don't know how.
McCarthy, I agree. McCarthy had Rodgers. He had good OCs. And they said something this morning that the touchdown last night to the young boy on the Jets was the first touchdown that Rodgers ever threw to a first-round wide receiver. So McCarthy had Rodgers. McCarthy had
Rodgers looked good last night, too.
And
he looked like
McCarthy
old Rodgers.
He was looking good.
Yeah.
McCarthy is good, but he is not great. He is okay. He had a great HOFQB. I mean, we're looking at it. We're looking at it year after year after year. What scheme? I asked my man, with all due respect, how are you confident in this scheme? What scheme are you looking at?
Well, to be fair to him, his response, he kind of goes away from schematically, and he says, go get better players. And how can I argue with that? Of course. If you go get better players in any scheme, you will have a better. You should have a better outcome. My rebut to that is that ain't happening, and Dallas is not going to go sign Davante Adams. So what you need to do is schematically find a way to make things easier on everyone. Like, for one more last thing on this game, because I'm tired of talking about it. Going into this game, Saints fans will probably don't listen to this. Saints fans, if you're in the chat, you'll probably say hell yes. Maybe some Cowboy fans. But going into the game, before this happened, try your hardest to ignore the outcome. Would you say, I'll take their guys over our guys? Cowboys Nation, I'm going to ask you this question too. Try your hardest to ignore the outcome of the game. Going into the game, would you go into that game saying, I will take their guys, quarterbacks, receivers, line, everything, come on, over the Cowboys guys? Ignore the scheme, ignore all that. Just talking about player for player, where you got all pros, right? Wide receiver, quarterback, Jake Fergie, right? Like going to the game. I'm just curious. I think a lot of people would have taken the Cowboys, right? But the difference is they have that type of scheme to get the best out of some of their other minuscule type. I don't want to call it minuscule, but the other players. That's the difference. That's about as plain and simple as I can say. They didn't go out and sign Davante Adams. They used a boomer bust speedster that whooped your ass, a first-round wide receiver who, look, Olave is good, but I wouldn't say Olave is like CD Lamb, anything like it. They ain't even got to throw to their damn tight ends. And a lot of people, you go look on Twitter and type in Alvin Kamara before last week. Washed, always hurt, overrated, get rid of him.
Exactly.
But he go out there and rush and score 4 touchdowns on you.
That's just fan talking without using intelligence. That's just fan talking. One question in closing. I didn't get a chance to see any of the post pressers. And it looked like we were just in the mud. I saw the thing on Michael Irvin. I didn't realize either that we weren't staying in hotels any longer. I did realize that with the Tyreek Hill incident, because if he was on the bus and opposed to his car, we wouldn't have that situation. But we looked like we were in the mud last week. I didn't hear what Zimmer said. Did anyone ask Zimmer what was the difference? Why did he go away from what was successful the week prior with Overshown and the other players? Why did he go away? So I missed that total thing, and I'll let you answer that if you can. Have a wonderful weekend. God bless everybody.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. Good call. So on the Overshown point, he kind of used the excuse of Overshown didn't have spring, and he tore his ACL. He's working his way back. I'm on record saying I don't buy that. But in totality, what happened was in week 1, maybe score, maybe they just, for whatever reason, this is what the Browns wanted to do. It was a lot more nickel. It was a lot more 11 personnel they came out in. The Saints didn't do that. But and this is the words of Coach Zim, and this kind of made me say, okay, Zim, not very characteristic of you. I'm still giving you a lot longer leash here than I am the offensive side. But Zim said, we weren't prepared to be in base as much. which I found really weird because when you go watch, there's only one game you have of Kubiak with the Saints offense. You can't go back and watch 2023. You watch week 1, it's exactly what they did. So they weren't prepared to be in base. So the difference of why he didn't do, use air quotes, what he did in week 1, well, they dictated you to be in a heavier personnel. So a lot of 3 linebackers on the field because they're making you do that. And the Ravens are going to make you do that again. The Ravens are going to make you come out in a lot of base. And I think the difference, though, the Ravens are going to try to beat you matriculating down the field. At least the first 2 weeks. They have not been a big play team. We saw the Saints be a big play team. So if you can kind of tighten up in the red zone, make them kick field goals, you'll be fine. Or if you could just flat out just be dominant in between the 20s. Would love to see that. Tech said Kubiak head coach next year. He'll probably, if the Saints offense continues to roll like this, you will see Bobby Slowick, you will see Kubiak with head coach jobs next year. You'll see it. That's the trend. O'Connell, McVay, LaFleur, Shanahan, Slowick, Ben Johnson. Like, that is the trend. Eventually, things will catch. Somebody said this on Twitter. This is crazy, and I'm mad if this happens. It was like, yeah, we'll be the one team that gets Kubiak or one of these Shanahan guys, and the league done caught up, and it's too late because we've been reactionary. I'm like, damn, don't put that in there. But I don't believe that's the type of guy they're going to go after anyway. If this season does fail, if we don't get to the NFC Championship game, Super Bowl, whatever, that's not Jerry's MO. Jerry flat out, now he could change his tune, but he wants a guy that's done this before and this and that. I'd be shocked. Petey wants some watermelon. Well, maybe Mike need to do another watermelon game. Mark says he calls BS on Overshown stuff. I agree. I agree. For those who might have missed it, he basically was talking about how he's just working them back in. T. Jack said, hopefully the Saints caught us slip and we'll bounce back. T. Jack, and I'm not putting you in this group. I don't know where you stand. But for those that may pop in here and hear me being critical, that is not me saying this is what the Cowboys are going to look like week in, week out. I firmly believe your defense will be fine throughout this season. Firmly believe that. I firmly believe your offense will find its footing and be right back to being a quality offense. Those aren't my overall concerns about the end game. It's not. The devil is in the details of what happened this past week. You won't see that week in, week out, I don't think. What you're hoping to see is a response, though, when you go back up against similar situations. I said it before, I said it again, I won't ignore it. If they do bad, I won't ignore it. If they do fantastic, I ain't going to ignore it. We're going to talk about how great they did. That's just the way it is, man. Play the Petey clip. If you weren't here for yesterday's show, man, you just missed it. I ain't going to go off on the Petey Green trade again, man. But all I'm saying, though, is if Mike McCarthy does this watermelon thing again, Cowboys go get a dub. Petey Green might have to be our watermelon mascot. That's all I'm saying. Let's get to some supers. Lots of supers today. Appreciate y'all. Again, if you want to help the channel, you can donate via Super Chat. If you want to help out your boy, you can donate via Cash App. Money sign, ChillWill1206.
Super Chat.
Josh dropped, actually, damn, we got a lot more than I thought. Y'all dropping lots of supers a day. Thanks. Let's go back to Aaron. Aaron dropped 5. He said, Sky, our defense only disguised 8% of coverages against the Saints, 92% static on defense. Boomer offense, hate to say it. Boomer defense. Man. Hey, Aaron, let me think this through here to see if I can give you a reason, right? So, with that particular offense, and look, this is just me off the cuff. If I had to guess why it was static, was because they weren't sending out 3 and 4 guys into routes. They went into this game anticipating very generic routes, right? And you got that. You absolutely got that. There wasn't a whole lot of combinations out there to kind of mess around with. And you kind of had to deal with, they're going to send Shaheed deep a whole lot in this game, so you're not going to move your guys around too much. If I had to guess, I think that's why it was stagnant, but 92% is a lot. Also, though, taking into account the game after the first 3 possessions where you did get out-coached, in my opinion, out-schemed, it was a lot of just run the ball. They weren't even trying to disguise anything. It was just, you can't stop the run. We're going to keep running the ball. That'd be my takeaway. That'd be my guess, Ron, why it was so stagnant. Jubo dropped 10. Appreciate you.
Super chat.
He said McCarthy changed the scheme up last year during the bye week. Our bye isn't until the San Fran game. Before the San Fran game, Dallas can win if we limit Superman and slow Henry down. Easier said than done. Yep, I agree. I think Dallas can win this game. Obviously, they have to play better. It's that simple. Changing of the offense, though, I hope it doesn't take to the bye week this year. If these type of things continue to happen, I hope we go back to the drawing board and say, okay, let's take out this. This isn't working. Or like I said with Dak, let me run around and move around more. But I do think this offense will find its footing at some point. I'll be more surprised if it doesn't. Run game, different story. So when I say offense, I mean we know what the offense is. It's Dak, it's CD's Ferg. Iceberg Q dropped 2.
Super chat.
Stop with these old coaches. The game is past them.
Super chat.
G-Dub dropped 5. Name the last big game under McCarthy where the team came out prepared. He should be fired on that alone. Hate to go back to the offseason, but we talked about that specific thing, G-Dub. I love to illustrate things so people can stick to their brains a little bit more. We put up the graphic. Even in the victory against Tampa Bay, the offense did not come out prepared. It was stagnant. It was not good. Then it picked up for sure. But all 4 of the Cowboys playoff games, they've come out unprepared and slow. Every single last one of them. And you go all the way back to the Packers, his ended tenure. All 3 of his losses, they come out unprepared and slow. It's not an opinion. Those are just facts. JJ the Mime dropped 2.
Super chat.
He said, "Where throw that ass, Twan?" Twan, bro, you gotta do something. You gotta do something to change. You ain't right, JJ. Appreciate you though. Drop 2. Lord Nova dropped 2.
Super chat.
He said, "Get Jonathan Allen and Devontae Adams and let's go." Both ain't happening. Adams definitely happening. Jonathan Allen just feels like more realistic than anything when it comes to a high profile player. You owe us one, DQ. Give us the guy that don't want to be there no more.
Super chat.
Josh dropped 10. He said 4 has to start using his legs more. 100% agree. Not saying to be Lamar Jackson, but at least Jalen Hurts. Well, I don't think he can be Jalen Hurts. That's not his game. But he has to just start scrambling out the pocket. Just do what he did last year. Be Dak Prescott of last year. Got to keep the chains moving and drives alive. He does that, or will be more efficient. 100% agree. Jubo dropped another 2.
Super chat.
Defensive tackles are hard to draft like free safeties. Just get them in free agency. I mean, some of these teams draft them fine, but Dallas just doesn't.
Super chat.
Dwayne Brown dropped 5. This is going to be a kicker's game. Ooh, I'm biased. I was going to say, all bias aside, if it's a kicker's game, you taking Tucker, who's been around and done it, or you taking Aubrey? I'm taking Aubrey. You know, I'll preface my biases. I'm taking Aubrey. I think he's the best kicker in the National Football League.
Super chat.
Tobo Ty dropped 5 and said, "I don't care if we strike out as long as we strike out swinging. We didn't show up last week, at least be in the game that you're playing. Have a great day." Yeah, no one wants to lose like that, Tobo. Again, it's the how, and that's the frustration with Cowboys fans.
Super chat.
Glenn, appreciate you. He dropped 5, Capers, and dropped 5 and said, "I want Zimmer to be ready for the Ravens RPO game. We should hit the QB every time that play is called, regardless of whether Lamar keeps it or not." Glenn, I don't got an answer for you on that one. The RPO game, we talked about it and leading up to this matchup. It's tough because you have to take into account Lamar every single time, right? So what that does is it's going to either hold the linebacker or the defensive end or both because you're just so worried about Lamar. That creates lane. Now you're getting these positive games. And, I know the one caller was kind of poo-pooing this Ravens run game. I mean, look, I'm not saying it's the 93 Cowboys or anything like that, but these guys are rattling off quality yards per clip. And when you watch it, it's not fugazi. It's not, Henry just took off for 60 yards and that inflates it or anything like that. Nah, Justice Hill, they use that kind of thunder lightning tandem well. Obviously, Lamar Jackson can use his legs. Henry, like I said, went off on the edges last week against the Raiders. You got to be ready for that. I'm not really sure what he was seeing in that game, but that's where he got majority of his yards in that game last week. So put your hard hats on this week, man. Put your hard hats on. I do think if you, like I said this in the lead up, if you muddy up the middle, I don't think Derrick Henry's a guy that's going to try to do a whole lot outside of that. Where Derrick Henry can get freaky, is on the edges. If he has room, that's where that stiff arm is crazy. That's where he can stick his foot in the ground, cut back in, and now he's he's got some momentum. Obviously, if you give him a runway in the middle, he'll make you pay. And he'll find a second level and he can stick his foot in the ground and go. But if you muddy that middle up, he could be 2 yards cloud of dust. I've seen it. Oh, yeah. Shouts out to you, Mark, for reminding me. I went to go look at wide receivers because somebody said, do we think we should go in free agency? Man, look, it ain't nothing out there like that for real. Nothing that's going to move the needle. But you did bring up Hunter Renfrow. Tim Patrick didn't get picked up. Interesting. Russell Gage, the name I saw yesterday, we brought this up in the offseason. Michael Thomas. Cobb is still out there. Goodwin. Nothing that's going to move the needle, man. In my opinion. Yeah, we went overtime today, Shaq. It's Friday, though. Good stuff. Fun calls. We bring the energy. Y'all know how we do. On the way out, though, please hit that like button if you enjoyed the show today. Hey, Lamitra, you said something earlier I wanted to bring up. I mean, hell of a quote. Something along the lines of, it's been 30 years, so frustration is our foundation. Holy damn, that's a bar. That's why I don't get mad at y'all no more. I don't get mad at y'all for being mad. Not after that. Okay, now, close game, and y'all come out and say some crazy, even in the blood, you can just say some crazy things. You know how I'm going to do. I'm going to call you out on it. But after 30 years, frustration is our foundation. That's heavy. Toxic, you had a super? My bad. Hold on. Let me refresh this thing one more time. On the way out, Toxic dropped 5.
Super chat.
He said, call this an unfair generalization if you must, but old people are no good at everything. Mo. Now, why would you do this? Just say Mo S. Mo, who that? Sklack? Mo Sklack. I don't know who that is, bro. But interesting quote. Hey, if you are in the DFW area, you want to come check out the game with us, come on through the Canvas, man. 2 weeks in a row now, Canvas has been a really fun environment. Obviously, last week, not so fun for Cowboy fans, but the Saints fans came marching in and turned the hell up. They brought the energy. So I'm calling out Cowboy fans this week. Return that energy for week 3 against the Baltimore Ravens, please. Okay? Canvas, #1 sports viewing destination, especially on Sundays where you find, of course, your boy and Jesse Holly for Game Day Live. Doors will open roughly around 11, I believe, for the noon games. No cover, of course, for Cowboy games. So come on through. All right? Shouts out to Specs as well, our presenting sponsor each and every day. The one-stop shop for your destination for unbeatable selections of beer, wine, and finer foods. Whether you're planning a party or just looking to kick it and get a perfect bottle, Specs got you covered. You can't get out there? Cool. Hit them up on the app. They'll deliver it to you. Don't have time to go in? Cool. Curbside pickup. There's no reason not to stop by and get your good wine, your good food, and your good beer from Specs. All right? With that said, Cowboys Nation, we're going to go ahead and hit this button and get up out of here on this Good Friday. I mean, it ain't Good Friday, but it's a Good Friday. You feel me?
Push the goddamn button. Push the goddamn button.
Sizzlack? I'm not good with names, bro. Not good with names. Shouts out to Josh on the way out, drop 5. He said, oh, like hurt in terms of using his legs when things break down, not the design runs. Yeah. Like Dak. Like 2023 Dak. That's all he gotta be. That's all he gotta be. We out of here. Love y'all. Peace. McCarthy, I'm just looking for the watermelon, man. Just put a little twang on it. Petey Green said you gotta twang it. Petey, listen to Petey, y'all. Listen to Petey. What's that?
Put a twang of salt on a sweet melon, and it brings out like accent. I said, what you say? He said, man, I love watch you watching people. Y'all dumb soul doing it like you got chicken. He said, but you twang it.
Twang it.
I never knew that. Put a twang of salt on a sweet melon, and it brings out like accent. I said, what you say? He said, man, I love watch you watching people. Y'all dumb soul doing it like you got chicken. He said, but you twang it. I never knew that.
All you gotta do, McCarthy, just twang it.